Good morning, everyone. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I plan to walk you through the evolution of Johnson County's Stormwater Management Program. Our program is essentially a case study reflecting national trends in stormwater management today. In taking you through it, my goal is to provide insights that may be relevant to your programs at home. I'm excited and honored to be here to talk with you on this topic. And to be honest, we were a little surprised when the association reached out and asked us to be part of the introductory session. We wondered, why would the association want us to present on a stormwater management program that looks well beyond floodplain mapping and flood damage reduction? But then, I noticed a talk or two about green infrastructure and watersheds during the sessions this week. Clearly, times have changed, which is actually the point. The stormwater management has evolved, it's going to continue to evolve, and we, the association and all of us in this room, must evolve too, to remain relevant and effective for our stakeholders. A quick geography lesson for those of you that don't know, Johnson County is considered part of the Kansas City metropolitan area, just southwest of here, and is located obviously on the Kansas side of the state line. On my way here this morning, my 15-minute commute took me through multiple jurisdictions that I couldn't name, but only 3 watersheds. When you've been at this long enough, you kind of start to think in terms of watersheds rather than cities. Our program got started in the early 1990s when our Board of County Commissioners had the foresight on the basis of recently passed state legislation to adopt a 1/10 of a cent sales tax for the purposes of funding flood damage reduction projects. For the first 10 years or so, we were very much a reactionary program. Cities would call after flooding issues arose, and we would help them address those issues with projects. Thankfully, one day my predecessor woke up and thought, man, there must be a better way to do things. 3 events changed the course of our program. First, in 1996, we initiated a countywide floodplain remapping project. More accurately, we defined the hydrology for both present and future conditions. Then, using high-quality topography, we mapped floodplains up to the 160-acre tributary area. This allowed us to better identify existing and potential future flooding locations in Johnson County. While that was underway, we endured a major storm on October 4th, 1998. Some of you might remember it from a Chiefs-Seahawks Sunday night football game. It resulted in severe flooding that led to several fatalities on both sides of the state line. And a significant number of flooding locations identified from that event were previously unknown. And third, in 2002, we completed a business plan to map the future of our program and to address water quality issues. The EPA's Stormwater NPDES Phase 2 requirements were a primary driver, but we also knew it was the right thing to do for our residents. So fast forward now, 10 years, it's 2012. We're feeling pretty good about ourselves, right? We have state-of-the-art floodplain maps, we're working on addressing water quality, and we haven't been creating any new flooding problems for some time now. But we're starting to hear things from our stakeholders in our communities like, we'd like to address that flooding issue this year, but our entire CIP budget just got ate up with a major repair to a failing pipe. Or we need to address the stream stability issue this year that's threatening a roadway or major utility. Or it rained so hard last week during that storm that we had new flooding issues pop up that we never knew were there. And the list goes on. Add to that, the state and feds, through our NPDES requirements, are saying that we need to do more to address water quality in the environment, naturally with no federal funding to help meet those requirements. So same pot of money, but more needs and more requirements to be met. This was the catalyst for our strategic plan development. So in this background to our program, perhaps you recognize some similarities to yours. By 2014, we recognized that our program needed to evolve, and we decided to make a concerted effort to reevaluate how the program provided value to our stakeholders and whether it was doing so effectively. This required us to enter into a strategic planning process. The 3 main components of that process were a national benchmarking exercise, a gap analysis, and strategy formulation. I'll get to the strategies that we developed in a minute, but first, I wanted to touch on a couple of overarching lessons that we learned from this process. Those being that stormwater management is a rapidly evolving field. What was considered state of the practice just 10 years ago is no longer state of the practice. Secondly, there is a renewed conversation at the national level about water. Water is quite arguably our nation's most precious resource, yet so many of us take it for granted. Professional associations like this one, counties, municipalities, the state and federal agencies in this room need to find their place in this conversation about water. The drinking water and wastewater utilities are well represented already, but there is very little representation from stormwater. We all have our turfs and areas that we can best contribute to this discussion, and that is the challenge for our organization and yours. So back to the strategic plan. During this process, we essentially took the pulse of the national practice in stormwater. Through our benchmarking exercise, we kept seeing these issues time and time again. These are things that are likely on your mind, or perhaps you've already been addressing through your programs at home. Many programs, including our own, spend the vast majority of their time on the one thing that's not even up there, and that is flooding. Don't get us wrong. Flooding is and will continue to be a major concern for us and most of us in this room. But what we found nationwide is that these issues and how they are intertwined must also be considered in addition to flooding for successful stormwater management in the future. As you can see, it goes beyond simple water quality and water quantity concerns. We were pleased to get some independent third-party validation during our benchmarking exercise in September 2015 when the Water Environment Federation published its 2015 report, Rainfall to Results. That report highlighted these same issues as major concerns nationally. Stormwater, it's no different than the rest of our nation's infrastructure, and it's in need of major reinvestment. Asset management for stormwater systems has traditionally lagged asset management for more engineered systems such as drinking water and wastewater. However, the concepts and principles of asset management hold a lot of value for managers of stormwater systems. The most fundamental change that our program is undertaking is the shift to a watershed-based organization. This is absolutely emerging as a best practice nationally. This is in contrast to municipally focused solutions that do not consider the watershed as a whole. This might seem obvious to this group, but is a fundamental shift for a program that deals with 20 cities, three major water basins, and 8 watersheds on a routine basis. Beyond that, as I mentioned, we're part of the Kansas City metro area, which includes 15 counties, 119 cities, and is divided down the middle by a state line. With all of these various stakeholders, how can we expect to achieve success individually without considering watershed issues collectively? One of the key reasons for this shift to the watershed focus is the increased emphasis on water quality. While flooding impacts can oftentimes be addressed with local or site-specific solutions, water quality is very difficult to address without looking at the watershed as a whole. So by taking a step back and looking at our program from a national trends viewpoint strategically, we think we will be able to deliver more value to our residents in the long run and move us and hopefully prevent us from being that reactive program and take a more holistic and proactive approach to stormwater management. We also feel it will provide our residents with better public safety, increased long-term effectiveness, improved stewardship of the environment, and long-term financial stability. So what are we doing now to deliver the benefits? Well, we are continuing to address flooding throughout the county, but we're also incorporating system replacement and water quality improvement projects into our funding structure, right alongside flood damage reduction. We're also implementing a countywide stormwater asset management program. And we're managing the changes to our organization through public and professional outreach. As I mentioned, in the past, we would fund projects based on the priorities of the municipalities. In the future, we will fund projects based on the needs of the watershed, and we will address flooding, system replacement, and water quality issues irrespective of municipal boundaries. So we are currently creating watershed boards to facilitate that process. We feel that this diversification of our program will allow us to best address our drivers, those being improving the quality of life of our residents, properly stewarding tax dollars, meeting regulations, and maintaining our "it's the right thing to do" mindset. So what's the call to action for this group and all of us in this room? First, let's use this group's deep knowledge of flooding and the regulatory environment and stormwater practices to help inform and drive the conversation about water. To do so, we may individually need to expand our knowledge of best practices and national trends. But luckily, there's plenty of information available. Reports such as from organizations such as U.S. Water Alliance's One Water Movement and organizations like AWWA and WEF. It's up to all of us to continue to support and expand the use of this knowledge. Over the next 3 days, we have an opportunity to network and share our experiences with each other. We also, I saw on the agenda, there's several workshops and tours taking place this week. So I encourage you to get involved in those and stay engaged when you go home. Let's take this knowledge home with us and share it with others. Finally, as you all know, change is hard. We are all doing great things at home and probably running very successful programs, and we're all busy. If we weren't, we probably wouldn't have a job. But if I've learned one thing through this process, it's that we can always do better. Nobody forced us to do a strategic plan. In fact, it would have been much easier from a staff perspective if we would have just continued down the path we were on. But I feel confident if we didn't, in 10 years, we would have been that reactionary program again, if not altogether obsolete to our stakeholders. So my second challenge to this group is to look at the systems, strategies, and structures of your organization and ask yourself, why? Why do we do things the way we do them? Is there a better way? Is there overlap with other departments or agencies you work with? If we work together, could we leverage more resources? I am excited to learn with all of you during this week and to see how you will become part of the change. Thank you.